Jambo Rafiki, this is Elizabeth from Kasiwa 82 and I hope you are doing really well. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I post 2 videos a week. On Tuesdays, I talk about all things books and reading, and on Fridays, all things journaling and creative play. So it's time for another Friday Flip, and as always, there'll be a link to the playlist up above as well as down below. And what I wanted to do was talk about how sometimes you might have a plan and things don't actually work out. And if you find that you're not being inspired by whatever you've decided to work on, put it aside, move on, and, find something else that will keep your creative juices flowing. So first I wanted to just quickly talk about, if you looked at the video last week, which I'll post links to up above as well as down below, I flipped through my January pages. And what I did is, as I said then, I took it out of the binder that it's housed in, and I have put these rings on them. These are these bookbinding rings, and they work really well. I'm just using the same 3 holes that I had them in the binder. And I, like I said, I have these in my DIY fabric traveler's notebook cover, and that's where it resides until I figure out what I'm going to do for the actual cover. So when I talk about the cover of that, I was looking through my stash and found this particular journal, which I thought would be a good one to quickly flip through as well as talk about. So it's going to have it has the same idea that I'm thinking about doing for my 2021 completed pages. Because I'm working in single pages, is actually come up with some kind of cover for them and then just bind them with these book binding rings, because they work really well, and I have a bunch of them in my stash anyway. So let's go ahead and flip through this one. So it's got a basic cardboard cover on the front and back, and this is from 2011. Now, as I was saying earlier, I had this idea that I was going to basically do a sketchbook challenge on watercolor paper. And these, as always, if you're looking at my supplies, I am always using really inexpensive supplies, especially when it comes to paper. I do recognize there's pros and cons to that, but the way I look at it is it's not precious, so it makes me, I don't have that block of, oh my goodness, I don't want to mess up that paper because it costs a lot and it was expensive. So here's a really easy way to bind a notebook for yourself as well. You take a bunch of paper, you cut it in half or whatever size you want, you punch some holes with 3-hole punch or whatever, and you get some rings, right? So very simple and easy to make. So I decided in 2011 that I was going to do this kind of a sketchbook challenge, and I don't remember the specifics of what I was planning on doing then, but other than what I wanted to do was do more creative play once a day in this particular format. So for example, this starts on January 1st of 2011. And I'm trying to remember if I was trying to do an everyday kind of journaling or not. But anyway, you can take a look and see. Right, so these are all pen and ink and watercolors. So kind of things that were around me is what I think I was focusing on, because I was putting away Christmas ornaments, kind of taking a picture of, sketching an image of that, some headphones, images out of a window seat. There was a full crescent moon, kind of playing with that idea here. What I do remember is I very quickly lost interest in this. And maybe you are like me. I almost feel as though when I decide I'm going to do something a specific way, I find that there's much more resistance to doing that, as opposed to what I do normally is I open up my journals and I just figure out, okay, what am I in the mood to do today? So, kind of I'm playing with things I can tell here. This is kind of, taking a look at a Picasso piece of artwork. Here I've got some music sheets in the background with some watercolor paper, and these butterflies came from some paper, a napkin, like a tissue. I cut them out, I glue them down, right? So again, playing with pages. I kind of liked this one is kind of an interesting one. I know it's really simple. It's just putting letters through a stencil. So if I think about these, I believe these were quotes or prompts that I was following. If you looked at my flip from last week, you will have noticed that the photo that inspires this particular image is in there from Puerto Rico. So just trying to capture that particular image. And then I come into February. So that's all I did for January of that year. And as you can see, I did not continue much longer, right? This is a really thin sketchbook. So in February, the prompt I was playing with was the idea of maybe I should come up with a more encompassing prompt for the month. And so in this particular month, I'm playing with the opposites, so light and dark, right? I'm taking a look at seasonal footwear, winter, summer. And that's all I did for February. In March, I believe the prompt was spilling over. So this just makes me smile when I look at it even today. The idea of, right, here's the muffin top. Here's a beer belly. In April, I had branching out. And that's when I think I lost complete interest in following along with this project or these particular prompts. I kind of like the idea of playing with some graffiti stuff. So I had one of these watercolor papers that I was using kind of underneath my sketchbook. So it has all these leftover paints that come off the edges, and using that as my background to kind of make more of a graffiti image on this particular page. I believe I'm playing with my nephews. As always, we love playing with, put some crayons down and then put watercolor on top of that, and crayons act as a resist, the wax crayons. Same thing here. And that's it. That's kind of where this stops. Now, as always, if you look at my channel, and like I said, there's so many journals I don't actually post yet as well, is I've always got several journals going on at once. And so for some reason, this one or this style or this format wasn't working for me. And rather than continue trying to push my way through, I decided to go ahead and stop this project and continue doing the other stuff that I was doing, right? So from 2011, on my Friday flips, you've already seen that I have various other journals from that year that I've already flipped on this channel. So there's always multiple journals in play. And what I wanted to just encourage you was, if you find that one of the things that's happening is you've made or given yourself a prompt and it's not working for you, instead of continuing to try and shoehorn yourself into that particular prompt or that particular challenge, bail. Right? There's no one, you're not going to get graded for this. So I am always like, I'm a big proponent of bail if something's not working, do something that is, and come back to it. You might find, like, so for example, this particular style of journaling on single paper, on single pages, have come and gone over the years in my supplies. Some years I do that, and some years I'm working in bound books. And so there's something about working in single pages that I really, really love. That's what I'm doing in this for 2021, for example. But using prompts, like I said, every now and then I go back to, I should take a look, because there's so many different challenges that go on social media, right? In terms of prompts for different months. And I always am tempted to try those, but I do know this about myself. I tend to not follow prompts religiously because I get bored. And I feel like it's kind of like I'm doing a book report for school. And so I stopped doing that. So I just wanted to encourage you, if you're playing with journals and you find something's not working for you, whether it's the book, the paper, the prompt, the materials, whatever, bail. Move on to something else. Find something else that's inspiring you. Because again, at the end of the day, what we're doing is playing. Let me know if you have found this to be true. If you find yourself, when you're restricted, you feel constrained and you're trying to burst out of those, arbitrary, if you will, restrictions we place on ourselves. And how do you keep your creative mojo going when you find yourself stuck in one particular format? Do you just bail or do you push your way through? I'd love to know down below. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll have to talk to you down in the comments. Until I talk to you next time, bye.